It's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow.
I was noticing earlier that my little impatiens are peeking up out of this little pot. It won't be long till they're filling it out and looking great. But even though I did spray for snails before we went to the heart hospital, I still have lost some of the impatiens, and I feel sure that it is because of snails. This one was filled out and would have looked great if they would have left it alone, but of course they didn't. So I actually do need to spray again. I think once you start spraying for them, I don't know if you need to do it every week, but you need to do it often enough because they will still get the upper hand if you don't. Look at this butterfly weed. It's fixing to burst open into bloom. Today is May the 15th. This would have been my brother's birthday, and he's probably celebrating it still in heaven. So there was a chance I might have been there with him, but you know, there's always that chance. But I did have my angiogram, and it turned out well. Everything went fine. So let me tell you sort of some of the things that in this adventurous experience that I had. Look at this first. Isn't this beautiful? This is the yellow false indigo baptisia with one of those gorgeous irises mixed right in there with it, and then the roses. Oh, and I was going to say about these roses, I told you they were trying to go back to the old roses, and there's just a few of the little orange ones left. And this is what happens a lot of times if you get the hybrid roses that are grafted onto another root, then the hybrid one goes away and the ones they were grafted onto stay because they're more hardy. They're just a more dominant plant. So I'm still going to try if I can find the time. I am so far behind, both in my house and in my garden, and I don't know if there's any way to catch up, but I know that God let me live through that, and it was, you know, it was the greatest possibility that I would, but there's always that slim chance that they have to tell you about, and I was a little concerned about it. I really was, but you know, I made it, and I want to tell you some of that experience here in just a minute. So I had it done Tuesday, May the 10th. And as I told you, in my spirit, I was ready to go either way, because either way I would go see family. So I was okay with that, but I so asked the Lord to please let me get a few things done before I go. And He must have said yes, or at least He's given me time to do something. These are Cafophia, or torch lilies, that are fixing to bloom. And I noticed one right in here just a few days ago, and I thought, what is that? I didn't recognize it, but it's going to be big and pretty, I think. It certainly looks like it is. And the lilies are getting big. They'll be open before long. As a matter of fact, and farther in the back, I have some already opened. But you know, while they were wishing me luck and asking me questions and getting information what to do if something should happen and go wrong, I was beginning to wonder if I made the right decision to have it done at all. But I guess I'm glad I did, even though they only found that I had a 30% blockage, which they don't do anything for, so I'm good with that, and it'll give me at least some more time. Maybe I'll just be ready next time. I want to make 4 more movies, one of which I've already got half of it done, and I want to write a book. And then I think, I'll be finished with what I feel like the Lord put me here for. But, if He has different plans, that's okay with me, because I do believe that God's plan is good. And 2, once we finish one thing, you know how we get something else in mind that we'd like to do. So that could also happen. But I just want to be close enough to the Lord to be ready when He does call me. Look at this. The winds have been so terrible that the beautiful pennies did not get a chance to stay beautiful long. The hot winds just took them down, or just blew away their bloom, or else just did it like this. Just made it look so ratty and ugly. But weren't they beautiful? While they were blooming, and right before the winds took them out. And my husband was there with me every step of the way that he could be in there with me. But you know what? I wanted my baby girl too. I just did so much, but I tried very hard to let her know that she should not feel obligated to do that. You know, our children have full lives too. They don't always have time to cater to us, and I do know that, and I would not want to cause her just a whole lot of extra driving money, less time, all that stuff. And I know it did, because she was there, not when it was going on, but just shortly thereafter. She came and stayed with us my first night out of having the angiogram done. That old wind also took out so many of my little plants that I had just planted. And I did spend, and my husband helped me to spend, we spent a lot of time out here before the surgery trying to get, or the procedure, they don't even call it a surgery, but we spent a lot of time out here trying to get it ready so that it would be okay while we had to leave it and not take care of it. That wind really did a number on several things. And I was going to show you too that this is the verbena that I thought had some creamsicle color in it, and so it does not. It's not even a salmon pink, it's an absolute true pink. But I still like it. It's not exactly matchy-matchy though, which according to my niece, Carrie, Aunt Nancy has to be matchy-matchy. She told me that, and then she smiled, a great big smile, so I knew it was okay to be matchy-matchy. But it certainly is pretty. Look at these. They must have opened the day after the really hard winds, because they're still beautiful and intact. So pretty. We also had 3 graduations to go to just shortly after. 2 of them were on the 13th and one was on the 14th. So I didn't know if I was going to be able to go to them or not. Because you have to be careful and not do very much for at least 3 days so that it can heal and not break open and, we bleed to death or something like that. But anyway, I was trying to see if I could fit it in, if I could feel well enough to go, and I did it, and I got rest. I went in and lay down on my mother's bed, or the bed adjacent to hers in her room at my sister's house, and I laid there for a little while, and then I got to feeling better, and I thought, what am I missing? So I had to get up and go see. Good thing I did. I didn't want to miss the ice cream cake or the homemade brownies. They were delicious. And you know, when you go to a graduation, you see so much more than just the graduation. And of course you see that they accomplished something, that they stuck out some hard times, that they got a good solid foundation under them for some things. It's going to help all the rest of their life, and it makes you feel like, wow, we did this and we're done, even though you know your job, you're going to have that even longer. But it's still a start. It's a great big wonderful start, and they are proud and you are proud of them. But I was so tired that I just sat down and watched my sister as she took the pictures. Thank goodness, because otherwise I wouldn't have any, and they were great. The pictures were so great. And my niece and my great niece, which was my great niece, was the one, it was her graduation that I'm talking about, and she wanted to do things her way, and she knew her mother wanted to do it a slightly different way, and she did not know whether to stand up for herself and let her know that it is time to stop making decisions for me. And then my niece was over there, my niece, her mother, was over there thinking, I know she would rather be in a dress and in her bathing suit when she looks back on these later, and so I don't want to upset her, but I want to tell her that. So it was just so cute. I know they didn't think it was cute, and they were embarrassed that they were quarreling at a time like that, but it was just life, just the way life is and the way it has to go, for people to pull away and have their own time to grow, and then, but you always hold on to those things that you learned and to your mother's love. As a matter of fact, my great niece finally said, well, why don't I just go and do what you want me to do? And she did. And my great nephew graduated also, and his mother was a sister to Lacey, the one whose daughter graduated that morning. So luckily we got to go to both. Actually, we just went to Tucker's reception. We started to go ahead and go home because we had to be up so early the next morning. I did, and my husband, we actually had to go in different vehicles that day, which we almost never do. I don't care to drive, and he likes to drive, so I'm usually just with him, and that's fine by me. But I needed to drive this time, and I needed to be home, and I was so tired I thought about leaving, but then his mother and, well, the whole family are moving to Colorado, so yes, I had to be there. I had to spend that little bit of time with them, because you never know if you'll see them again, and you want those precious times, because those are some of the times that just make up for all the other times when we're just too busy to get it together or do what we'd like to do, or we have too much to do and we can't be in two places at once, all those things. But for those one times that we get to be together and feel each other's love and know that we're family, and that family is a wonderful, wonderful blessing from the Lord. So it was wonderful to be with him too. And I was remembering when his mother had gotten in the car with me, and she had a pretty little red dress on, and she got car sick, and she said, oh, Aunt Nancy, I'm so sorry. And she just liked to never quit apologizing. She didn't care about herself or her pretty little red dress. All she cared about was that she got vomit in her Aunt Nancy's car. But I had to tell her it's okay, because now I know for sure that you're my sister's daughter, because she used to be just like that. We all had motion sickness when we were little or young, but her mother had it the worst, so she couldn't get very far at all, and we were all watching for her sign because we knew it was going to come. And here are the lilies that are opened. I'm pretty sure there will be more that will follow suit shortly. And then we went to the next day. Well, actually, first I should tell you that I did get home and get in bed by 11, but I was not able to go to sleep, and then I had to get up 3 times between 11 and 3. Actually, it was 15 till 3 when I got up and got ready and went and picked up one of my sisters, and we went to another sister's, and her husband was so wonderful to take us. And he said if we didn't feel like walking, we had to walk a long way, he would drop us off. So that he did that for us, and I know probably specifically for me, so I wouldn't have to be stressed out too much while I was convalescing. And what a wonderful way to convalesce, because I did not have time to worry or think too much about it, other than to be careful with it. I did mind and do what I was supposed to do, but I didn't worry too much about it, because I felt like the Lord had given me that time to be there, and I wanted to be there. I wanted to use it the way I believed He would want me to with my family. But I had to call my nephew the day of, my nephew being Shane, who is my sister Kathy's son, and she's the one that I picked up, and we went to my other sister Rose's house, and her husband Jerry took us to my great niece's graduation. And I saw Shane up in the bleachers, and he saw me, and he came down to me and gave me hugs and love, and it was just like he took me up to the bleachers, and oh gosh, he left his wife sitting there by herself. Well, she wasn't by herself. She had a handsome young man right beside her. That was their son. But and he didn't sit by his mother. You know who he sat by, or I wouldn't be so happy like this. But he sat by me, and he sat there and comforted and just let me know that I was treasured and loved the whole time, even though, you know, his attention did get off me and go to his daughter while she was graduating. But it was such a wonderful, precious time to spend with him, time to feel his love for me, and know that even though our lives have gone on and we have very little time together, we do have some time together. And when we do, none of that love is forgotten. It's all right there, strong and sure and comforting, and just to be loved is such a wonderful thing. And his daughter, Lauren, she looked beautiful. She sparkled. She glowed. Now, really, I couldn't tell you which was the biggest glow, hers or her daddy's, the one that was sitting beside me. But they were both glowing and shining, and it was a wonderful day. Graduations are like weddings in that you see a hope for a future, a brilliant future that's wide open to see what will happen next. And you look back and see so much, things that you maybe didn't even see at the time. But I remember, when I was at my nephew Shane's daughter's graduation, there was a young man that sat in front of me, and I remembered him sitting there with love and concern on his face. And he wasn't even in our family until Shane married Andrea, and then he became family enough to be sitting there with quiet concern when I walked into where my nephew had just gotten out of having brain surgery for a tumor. But luckily we got to keep him. Thank the Lord. I'm noticing that my little ligustrum is also blooming. So I really don't know if I'd had an hour and a half or 45 minutes rest the night before, but I know I was hyper and I was feeling good and I was wide awake. So my sister Rose tried to get me to take a nap there, and I didn't, and my sister Kathy tried to get me to take a nap at her house, and I didn't, because I knew I needed to get home and water. My little plants, especially the ones in pots, just can't do without water a full day and going into the next day. Which brings me to something else I wanted to tell you, is that the day that we couldn't water, God watered for me. We got another ½ inch of rain. So I was on my way home, and I just lacked about, maybe 15 miles, and I began to get sleepy, like very sleepy. And so I knew I've got to sing or something to keep myself awake, which was a good idea. Singing helps me a lot. It helps me when I'm tired. It helps me when I don't know if I can finish something. If I can get to singing, sometimes I can get it done. It gives me, I don't know what it does. It gives me that little jolt that I need. So I started singing. But then I realized that I couldn't remember the words. And when I would stop to think of the words, my mind just went for one thing, and that was sleep. It went for sleep. And I did know that that was not going to work. So I just began to say la, 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 and I would say it louder and louder and keep myself awake, and it worked. I made it home. But I was hungry. I hadn't even had breakfast that morning, but I did grab some Cheetos, so I wasn't without anything. So I ate those on the way, or Cheez-Its, actually, they were Cheez-Its, but I ate those on the way. And when I got home, I sat down and had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and some milk. And then I thought, oh yeah, my husband had got that spaghetti. We had spaghetti after Jillian's graduation with my sister and her family. So I thought, yeah, I'll try that spaghetti and see how it was. And I knew it had sat in the car all day long in the heat, but for some reason I wasn't thinking clear enough to realize that maybe I should not eat that. So I did. I didn't eat much, which is a good thing, because after I went to sleep in the chair. I was planning on getting up and going to my bedroom and turning on the fan and absolutely going to sleep, to lay down and just get totally rested. And then I was going to get up and water. Well, I did get up and water because my stomach growling and hurting woke me up, and I had to run to the bathroom, and that was the cause of that, was the spaghetti. So we threw the rest of the spaghetti away like we should have done, or I should have done, to begin with. And I used the word adventure when I told my nephew Shane about my upcoming angiogram, because my sister had gone with her husband on a trip on a motorcycle. It's true that she's 8 years younger than me, but she did that, and they lived in a tent for a while. And I said, oh, how can you do that? I would not want to do that. That sounds awful to me. She said, oh, it's an adventure. So I think of that every once in a while But I'm ready to see some routine stuff. I haven't even got my garden in a good routine yet. And I've taken things out of my house and put in the garden. And really, I have cleaned up a bit, but I have not done any even halfway thorough cleaning from where the pots were and all that stuff. So I have got to have some attention on my house. I've got to get some way where I can have enough routine to get my house stuff done and my garden stuff done and get it into some kind of routine that I can absolutely handle. That would be the plan for now, is to do that. Sometimes we need a little shaking up in our lives, I guess. But I am grateful to be thinking about getting back into a routine, and I'm thankful also for the routines in our life, as well as the wonderful special days. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.